Mr. President, I rise to talk about legislation that we are introducing today. It's called the Farmer Act. And Farmer stands for Farmer Ag Risk Management, Enhancement, and Resilience. And that's just exactly what this Farm Bill does, what this legislation does. And really, we think this is an important step to getting to a Farm Bill, and hopefully this year, because it's all about enhancing crop insurance. I'm very pleased to be joined here on the floor by our ranking member on the Ag Committee, Senator Boozman from Arkansas. He is co-sponsoring the legislation, as are other members of our Ag Committee, including Senator Ernst of Iowa, Senator Fisher of Nebraska, Senator Grassley of Iowa, Senator Hyde-Smith of Missouri, and Senator Marshall of Kansas, all senators who have significant ag production in their state, both in terms of crops and livestock. And this is all about what we've got right here, keeping the farm in the Farm Bill. Matter of fact, it's about putting more farm in the Farm Bill. And that's going to happen in order to get a Farm Bill accomplished this year. Well, how do we do that? What does that mean? That means strengthening crop insurance, our farmers' #1 risk management tool, and also updating ARC and PLC, which is the countercyclical safety net, ARC ag risk coverage, and PLC price loss coverage. That is the countercyclical safety net that our farmers rely on. So crop insurance, the #1 risk management tool for our farmers nationwide, combined with the countercyclical safety net, updating ARC and PLC to make it relevant, given the incredible increase we have seen in input costs that our producers face. When you look at fertilizer and all the inputs, fuel, everything else, all the inputs that our farmers and our ranchers are required to purchase now to raise that crop, or for ranchers to raise those animals, those costs have gone up dramatically, and commodity prices for our food products have come down, which really puts pressure on our farmers and ranchers, and that's why it's so important that we update crop insurance and the countercyclical safety net to make it relevant, in terms of risk management for our producers across this great nation. We have a huge ag industry, very diverse across all of our states. And so this really is fundamental to getting a Farm Bill done right, and hopefully done this year. So what this bill, as I say, focuses on the crop insurance piece. And so what does it do? Well, it does two things. One, it strengthens crop insurance by increasing the premium support, making it more affordable to purchase crop insurance. And two, it enables our farmers to insure to a higher level. And there's two ways that they do that. One is at the enterprise level. So at the farm level, they buy crop insurance. This makes it more affordable to buy up to a higher level of coverage, say 80 or 85% coverage on a more affordable basis. And then they can get a second-tier policy that helps them. It's called supplemental coverage option. And that's actually based on a county-wide average. And so they can buy that supplemental coverage to insure up to a higher level, up to 90%, on a realistically affordable basis. Now, the other thing it does is it calls on the Secretary of USDA, the Secretary of Agriculture, to look at this supplemental coverage. And for states that have big counties, like my home state of North Dakota, or Senator Boozman's state of Arkansas, Texas, and others, it requires that RMA, a risk management agency that provides crop insurance, that they look at how these policies are done to make it work better for states that have large counties, which many of our states do. So those are the kind of enhancements to crop insurance that really serve our farmers. And it's not just our farmers, we're also doing more for our ranchers, our livestock producers, but really it's much more than that. This legislation helps our farmers, it helps our taxpayers, and it helps all Americans. And let me touch on that for just a minute. First, in terms of our farmers, obviously, They face tremendous challenges due to weather. They have no control over the weather and prices. You know, we have this network of family farms and ranches across this country. They are price takers. They don't get a chance to set any prices. Okay? So crop insurance, that's why it's their #1 risk management tool, because when they don't have a crop or they have a very substandard crop, this crop insurance enables them to stay in the game. So that family farm can continue to be around for the next year. So that rancher can continue to be around for the next year. And it's vitally important, you know, when they have no control over, like I say, weather or prices. It's to keep them in the game for the long term. And that benefits our taxpayer because we have the highest quality, lowest cost food supply in the world, and this is the most effective way to keep that network of family farms and ranches out there on the land. And that really benefits every single American every single day. Because what do our farmers do? They produce food, fuel, and fiber for this nation. Well, that's national security for sure. Food security is national security. But think about this for a minute. We have the highest quality, lowest cost food supply in the world. Every American benefits from that every day. Every time, you know, you have something to eat in this country that you buy in our great grocery stores brought to them from the farm and from the ranch, we have the highest quality and the lowest cost. Americans spend less of their budget on food, and they have better food than anyone else, more choices, more options, higher quality. But Americans spend less of their budget on food than any other developed country, brought to them by our farmers and ranchers. That's a remarkable benefit. That's a benefit that every American receives every single day. And that's why it's so important that we get farm policy right. That's why we've got to get it right, okay? And here's the final point I want to make before I turn things over to my esteemed colleague, Senator Boozman. We can't take this network of farmers and ranchers that we have in this country for granted. We have about 16 million people involved in agriculture directly or indirectly, but our food is brought to us by farms and ranches, a diverse set of family farms and ranches across this country. Okay? And we can't take that for granted. And if we don't have this safety net, if we don't have crop insurance that they can afford to buy, which they buy, and if they can't access this countercyclical safety net, right, we don't have that network of farms and ranches. And like a lot of other industries in this country, we can end up with just a few big companies. And I wonder how that's going to work out. Because all that competition you see from these millions of farmers and ranchers providing that highest quality, lowest cost food supply, that could change, right? So we can't take this for granted. So when it comes to getting the Farm Bill done, we've got to get it right. We've got to get it right, and that's what this is all about, getting crop insurance right and making sure that our farmers can both access crop insurance and the countercyclical safety net, ARC and PLC, at the same time. They need both. Look, this is about getting a Farm Bill done. This legislation needs to be included in the Farm Bill and will go a long ways towards making sure that we get a Farm Bill done and hopefully done this year. And I'd like now to turn to Senator Boozman for his remarks.
Thank you. I want to thank my good friend from North Dakota, Senator Hoeven, for his leadership on this issue. Under normal circumstances, we would have been celebrating the passage of a new Farm Bill by now. Unfortunately, we're not there yet, and our farmers continue to face far from normal circumstances. But we are making progress, and I'm committed to meaningfully addressing the needs of farmers, ranchers, and rural communities. Alongside bolstering the Title I reference prices, maintaining and improving crop insurance is at the top of the list for my Farm Bill priorities. But more importantly, these are the top priorities of farmers across the country. The first of many Farm Bill listening sessions I've participated in started with a roundtable in Senator Hoeven's home state of North Dakota. The takeaway from that event has been echoed across the countryside and in meetings throughout Washington. We need more farm in the Farm Bill. This next Farm Bill must update the risk management tools farmers and ranchers need to succeed in order to reflect the nature of the challenges under which they operate today. Because here's the reality. Producers are experiencing unprecedented challenges, regulatory uncertainty, and historic volatility in the farm economy, all of which are projected to even get worse. A producer from Minnesota told me recently that record high input costs, coupled with declining crop prices, would mean that she would have to harvest a record yield just to break even. That's not a scenario farm families want to pass on to the next generation. Historic inflation, rising interest rates, a record trade deficit, devastating natural disasters, and global disruptions will make it more difficult for our farmers to succeed in the years to come. And with an outdated farm safety net, described by a Texas farmer as 2 inches above the concrete, agriculture is left wondering what level of crisis is necessary to compel Washington to act. I commend Senator Hoeven's leadership in introducing the Farmers Act and proactively addressing the needs of farmers and ranchers who have asked for improvements to the federal crop insurance program. The Farmer Act includes critical components to modernizing the farm safety net for producers across all regions and all commodities. From wheat in North Dakota to cotton in Georgia, peaches in New Jersey, corn in Illinois and Colorado, to apples in Vermont and soybeans in Ohio, producers in every state could reap the benefits of more affordable crop insurance options. The strength of this approach is underscored by the endorsement of over 20 grassroots organizations representing the voices of farm families from across the country. We can pass a farm bill that strengthens Title I and Title XI while also making improvements across every other title to meet our shared goals. This isn't an either-or decision. Next Farm Bill provides an incredible opportunity to make things right for farmers, ranchers, rural communities, and those in need. Working together, we can protect and enhance voluntary conservation programs, provide investments needed to open new export markets and expand existing markets, build on research that allows our farmers to do more with less while reducing environmental impacts, protect the health of our nation's herds and flocks, and help rural communities flourish and prosper. Passing such a bill is never an easy task, but it's one this body has come together to accomplish time and time again. I look forward to continue to work with Chairwoman Stabenow and my Senate colleagues to pass a farm bill that achieves these goals, and I very much appreciate the work of Senator Hoeven's and his contribution to that process. Senator Marshall.
All right, Mr. President, I want to say thank you to the ranking member on the Senate Ag Committee, Senator Boozman, and especially I'm proud to be here with the senator from the great state of North Dakota, Senator Hoeven, and support our Farmer Act. You know, crop insurance is the backbone of every farm bill. When I talk to producers back home, they tell me crop insurance is their first, second, and third priority. It's important not just producers, but it also helps stabilize groceries on the other end by having a good constant supply, by allowing the farmer to plant next year's crop after Mother Nature strikes, helps keep those prices down at the grocery store as well. You know, I'm often asked why crop insurance is so important, and I want to quote the late President John F. Kennedy when he summed up the plight of the farmer pretty well. This is what President Kennedy said: "The farmer is the only person in our economy who buys everything at retail, sells everything at wholesale, and pays the freight both ways." Look, our input costs are driving the value of our crops up, and thus the cost of crop insurance is going up along with it. And unfortunately, commodity prices don't reflect that. Instead, we're seeing all-time drop in farming income, year-over-year drop that we've seen in a decade. But the Farmer Act truly puts the farm back in the Farm Bill with a reasonable cost. Helps take on this added burden of crop insurance, which again allows the farmer to plant next year's crop. It makes this the most single important program at USDA. So I'm proud to be here today urging that this body passes the Farmer Act, perhaps included on the Farm Bill would be a good place for it as well, and to protect the economic security in rural America and keep food prices stable for American consumers. I'm happy to yield back to the senator from North Dakota.
I'd like to thank Senator Marshall, and obviously he speaks on behalf of a very important ag state, Kansas, right in the heartland, and also to thank Senator Boozman and all the co-sponsors on this legislation. And as Senator Marshall said very well, this is the most cost-effective way to make sure that we keep our farmers and ranchers out there providing this incredible food supply that benefits every American every day. And one final point that Senator Boozman referenced, we have the support already, the endorsement of virtually all of the major farm groups, the farm production groups in the country, representing our great farmers. And, their endorsement tells you very clearly we need to have this enhancement to crop insurance in the Farm Bill to get the Farm Bill done. So again, on behalf of our sponsors of this legislation, I'd like to thank them, and we are going to work very diligently to do everything we can to work with all of our colleagues to get a Farm Bill done. Thank you. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor.